What's going on, guys? It's your boy. Oh, sorry, gotta get my hat. It's your boy Jordan. We are doing a special edition podcast, all about the draft last night. Big night in terms of fantasy football. We had two drafts going on, one at 9, one at 9:30. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the first season of the Big Fucking Fantasy Football League. Give yourselves a round of applause. I know it's a big day in fantasy football. Never before have we seen a relegation league. Very excited. There's a lot to talk about today, so I don't want to drag on too much, but I just want to give a special thanks to everybody who's been involved, everybody who's been answering all the questionnaires and emails and joining the Discord group. It's been a lot. You guys have been great. We really appreciate all the effort. And so hopefully all this energy translates into the season and we see some big upsets and in the quest for the Golden Crown. So without further ado, we're just going to go over quickly about the league a little bit. It's a very cool format. 14 teams in the A division or the championship league, 10 teams in the farm league. Now, both leagues are set up into conferences, and so the best teams in each conference will go into playoffs and compete for their respective championship. And the bottom teams, well, now if you're in the championship division and you're in the bottom, you're fighting for your life to stay up and not get relegated. So it's going to be a very interesting year, and it's going to be hard-fought battles right to the end. So I really enjoyed this year that there's going to be some cash prizes that'll give people a little extra incentive, as if getting relegated to the farm league wasn't enough. But I'm very excited. We've got some excellent talent coming in this year, the farm league. We have some previous champions in some other divisions. I'm looking at you, Ty. He was a reigning champ in the one of the leagues that I was previously in with some friends. And in the Chain Gang League, I believe. I can't remember. I can't even recall who was the championship there. But let's see if I can find it real quick. I think it might have been Alex. If not, he's been a top contender down there. I'm very excited. So let's go. We'll start with the farm league because this is the league I'm most excited about. I'm very interested to see the level of talent that has come in. We've got some very good contenders. Looking through the draft last night, a lot of really good drafts, but very interesting strategy from the farm league. Lots of teams skipping out on kickers and defenses to pick up extra receivers and running backs. Now, obviously, as things progress, they're going to have to drop some of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if that strategy pans out, as some of the guys on your lower bench may or may not be studs. So giving up a defense or giving up a kicker might not have been a bad call. Only time will tell. So let's dive into it. Who I thought won the draft yesterday. And, I've got to give it to the Fantasy Fisters. NFL.com wasn't gracious to him, but I think that he's got a very solid team. He's got 4 good running backs and 2 decent receivers with Odell Beckham and then Chase Claypool on the bench. I think that he's going to have a very solid team all the way through. The one thing that I'm not able to check very easily is buys. And I know a lot of people were struggling with buys. I talked to a lot of owners yesterday, and they all knew that 7, 9, and 13 were big bye weeks. So it's been very difficult for owners picking up a draft and making sure that you don't waste too many games in those weeks. But I feel like Alex has won with 4 solid running backs and 4 good enough receivers. If we go through the rest of the league, who I thought was actually a very interesting pick is if we go down to the Lambeau Leap squad, we have Ty Wary. Ty's out of Waterloo, works at Waterloo Brewing. He's a big beer guy, but his strategy in fantasy football, he trusts his gut. He's an instinct kind of player, and so I think this is very interesting, as he picked Kyler Murray in the 3rd round. Now, Kyler Murray is projected to go, give or take, 5th round or so a little bit of a stretch. He probably could have waited a round or two to pick up Kyler Murray. talking with Ty, the reason why he chose Kyler Murray in the 3rd round is he says that it's good trade bait. He knows that Tom really wanted him. And so I think that strategically from a drafting position and possibly trading, it's a good move, knowing that certain owners will really want certain players. I do think that there is a lot of strategy in the mind games of this, and as the season progresses, we're going to get further and further into them. And as you start to learn how everybody likes to play, you can start really fucking people up in their heads. So, honestly, not a bad move in terms of mind games. I think Ty's thinking maybe a couple steps ahead. That's what I like to see in this league. This isn't just about the X's and O's. It's about bluffing your opponents into making them make shit calls. And I think that Ty is doing this right. It's why I think that he is going to be one of the top contenders in this league for years to come. And we're very excited to have someone come in and ruffle the feathers right off the bat in day 1 in the draft on round 3. I love to see it. That's what fantasy football is all about. Now, NFL.com really likes quarterbacks. If you do really well with quarterbacks, they tend to reward you. So he went very early with Saquon Barkley at number 1, and then Tyreek Hill at number 2, Kyler Murray number 3. For me personally, I would have tried to pick up another running back, as now he's short running backs with DeAndre Swift being his second one, and then no real contender on the bench. Chase Edmonds might do okay. I'm not sold on him with James Conner coming into that situation. So we'll see how he does. But he's going to be a very strong late in the year, as he's got now 4 great receivers with Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, and Michael Thomas. So when Michael Thomas comes back and from injuries, he's going to be very good. The last person I actually want to talk about was who? Oh, where are we looking? The Lord's team in Ryan Lang. Here we stocked up on receivers, loaded up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers on this team. That is incredible. There's no defense, so one of those receivers is probably coming down into the free agent. So if you're looking for an extra pickup, you might want to keep an eye out to see who comes down. But it's a very interesting strategy. Again, running back situation, not great. We have David Montgomery and Miles Sanders. Personally, not a big fan of teams that lose a lot. Philadelphia, shit. Chicago, also shit. So Chicago's playing in a division with the Packers, who are going to beat them both games. They'll probably split with the Vikings, and they probably split with the Lions. But I think the NFC North is not as good of a division as some of the other divisions in football. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm very interested to see his team. That was it that kind of stuck out for me from the draft for this league. We've got some very good contenders, but I think there's a lot that can go give and take. Everybody always feels that their team is always the best, but that's who I'm kind of looking out for. I know that there are some very good fantasy football players in this talent pool, so obviously I think if I'm gonna pick 4 teams to move up, I'm looking at Ty. I think he's just such a good fantasy football player all around. I'm looking at Tom. Probably looking at Alex. And then in the bottom, I'm also probably looking at Zach. Zach's team looks really good. And Connor Pico's. I think those are like the top 4 move up. So there might be a lot of games that are 50-50 based on how all of this shakes down with people picking up and dropping different receivers and how it plays out through the year. But I'm interested to see how this turns out. All right, guys, so that wraps up the Farm League. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and after we come back, I've got a very special guest, first guest on the show. So don't go away. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. We don't have any. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first-time guest on the show, the owner of the Quintin Quicksand, Connor Pico. Connor, how are you doing today?
Good, Jordan. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, no problem. It's our pleasure. Big draft last night. We had a lot to go over. How did you feel about the draft?
Felt the draft went great. I thought there was great participation. I thought a lot of strong-looking teams came out of it. But from my point of view, I felt like the Quintin Quicksand had a great draft.
Yeah,
very, very happy.
I would agree. I think your team came out looking pretty strong. Was there anyone that you or anything that you really missed out on, or that you really wanted to grab and you weren't able to, or anybody that snaked a pick from you at any point?
No. I think the game plan was to load up on running backs, and we loaded up on running backs. I got auto-drafted at one pick. Frustrating, but you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And you adapt, right? So
Absolutely. So you'd say that your team's going to be a contender this year?
Yeah, that's what we're expecting, Jordan. Nothing less than, top four finish. We understand the league and the setup and what we need to do. But yeah, we're gunning for the championship. And not a lot of talent in the league. I see a lot of weakness in the B League. So I think that's something we're going to capitalize on and make a run this year.
Is there anyone that you think that you're a little worried about, that you think that they're going to come out of nowhere and maybe snake a title from you?
There was a couple GMs out there made some bold moves, no doubt. But right off the top of my head, Spread Cheeks was there. I thought he had made some good picks. Picked right after me in the first round.
Yeah, that's Tom Winnuck. He did it. I think he had a strong draft.
Yeah. I see him. I see that team producing some wins and being in contention late.
Nice. I won't take any more of your time. Thank you for your input. We'll be rooting for you all the way down the stretch, and we'll hope to have you on the show in future iterations.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan. Appreciate it. Really good start to the league here. Shout out to the guys that were in the A-League talking trash about my team though.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit of shit to you because we thought you weren't drafting so well, but turns out we mistook you for somebody else. So
nice.
Your team's actually fine.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Jordan. Appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Connor. If we switch gears and we'll move over to the big league, huge development last night. As we'll go into the draft recap. My team is supposed to be shit, but that's not what we're here for. We're going into the first round, and at the number 8 overall pick, we have Josh Allen. Now, I don't know what you would have to believe to pick Josh Allen in the first round overall, but it must be something special, because you probably could have picked him up in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, probably 4th or 5th for sure rounds. We've got a lot of Bills on this team. Very, very pro Bill. I think he must be a fan at some level, because we have Josh Allen, Emmanuel Saunders, and the Bills defense, Devin Singletary, and the Bills defense. So the strategy of just picking players that are on good teams, that might be a good call, right? So still remains to be seen. Now, one thing in the 14-team league is your benches are not as deep. In the 10-team league, I think you guys have like 5 or 6 players for your bench. In the 14-team league, you get 3. So injuries are a big factor. It doesn't give a lot of room to hold on to guys if they get hurt. Mainly because if you look at the free agent list, there's nobody left, right? There's by 14 teams, if everybody picks 12 players, you're looking at like 26 players or so, something like that. I'm sure some math guy on here is going to correct me on what the actual number is, but regardless, I think we're going to be really good. So that was kind of the steal last night. Couldn't believe that happened. The other team I want to highlight in our draft recap is is Eric Henderson's team. Now, he was graded by NFL.com to be the best team. However, in the chat room, when we were all going crazy, we thought that Eric's team was by far was one of the worst, if not the worst. I think he's probably gonna go. I wouldn't be surprised if he just doesn't win a game, because he's just that kind of, yeah. And then he's gonna do some stupid thing where he blames everybody else. But here we're gonna look at his team right now. So, his running back situation, bleh, it's gross. It's not very good. He got Christian McCaffrey at number 2. Our first overall pick actually was Derrick Henry, a bold choice by Jake Grew, a veteran in the league. You know, Derrick. Honestly, I'm okay with this pick. I don't think that players often repeat being the number 1 scoring player in fantasy. So with the number 1 pick, I would just choose whoever, not necessarily the best player from the previous years, but whoever's going to score you the most points, who you think is going to have the best year. And it could be a toss-up between any of those first 4 guys. So do I think that's a horrible decision? No. Would I have gone with Derrick Henry personally? Probably not. He does get a lot of touches. You know, I think Tennessee might be a little bit better. But I don't see that the rest of the team is going to be that good. So we'll see. I would choose Dalvin Cook. But that's a bias coming from a Vikings fan. So if we look at Eric's team, we have Christian McCaffrey, went first overall. And then, here, Christian McCaffrey. Then he's picked up A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson, Mark Andrews. He didn't pick up a running back until the 5th round. It's pretty late. There's not a lot of good ones by then. If we could do the board, you would see that most of the running backs go 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round. Like, if you don't get another one by then, you're going to be kind of scrounging. So he went running back, wide receiver, tight end. I would have held off on the tight end just because all of the other positions are so valuable. I think Ryan Tannehill was a gutsy pickup. In the 8th round, hold on, we'll see who else. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the 8th round, nobody else had picked up QBs. So there was no inkling that QBs were going to go in 9th round. There still weren't. Nobody was picking up QBs. So you probably could have waited a little bit longer for a QB. 6th round, no QBs. 5th round, Tom Brady was gone. Matt Stafford was gone. But so there's still a lot of good quarterbacks. In the 3rd round, it was Kyler Murray, and 2nd round, I think, was Patrick Mahomes. So really, there was only 4 quarterbacks drafted in front of him. There was 14 players total. So he probably could have waited. You know, I don't think that Ryan Tannehill is that exceptional of a player. So that warranted a pick higher than some of the other guys around him in that spot. Where was Eric? Hawkinson. I can't find him. I can't find it anymore. We're gone. So, So, who came after him? Deebo Samuel, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup. Some defenses were coming off the board. So I think we could have waited. Jarvis Landry was still there. Will Fuller was still there. And in this league, those guys play, right? Not Kenyon Drake might not. That's a goofy looking picture of him. If you guys are not going to watch the stream, make sure that you guys are looking. You look at this on YouTube, because the picture of Kenyon Drake is gross. Next, last thing I wanted to talk about was what my predictions are. So for this week, I think my predictions for this year. Look, we have a reigning champ, Mike Bell. where does he sit? Where's his team? Jake's relegation. That's his team name. He believes that Jake's going to get relegated. Honestly, not a bad team. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. He's got Michael Thomas coming in the later half of the season, and I think his receiving core could be beefed up a bit, but he's got a lot of running backs, so that way he could trade them out. So I think his title is going to be up for grabs. And I think, honestly, I might take it. I liked Matt Daly's team. I think that Jameis Winston is going to be a stud this year. Who else did I think was really good? Ivan E, he got a shit rap from the NFL website. They rated him that he wouldn't win a game. I think his team is better than that. He might not have running backs, but is that going to be the end of the world? Probably. But will he win a game? Yeah, definitely. I think there's a game to be won with this squad. I don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is. So, but in terms of winning, look, Omar went with two Saints running backs. I don't think that's gonna do it for him. He did the old auto draft and talk shit strategy. He didn't talk too much shit, but someone that I think that gets overlooked every year is Jake's dad, Marty, or Grugel. And I think he will have a standout year. He's got a very solid team. It's got plenty of depth in the wide receiver position, which is great considering he picked up 2 Pittsburgh wide receivers. And he's got 2 very solid running backs in Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs with Aaron Rodgers as a cube. Like, that's a team that when you look at it on paper, it looks like it could do well. He's probably going to win a bunch of games this year. He's definitely not going to get relegated as long as his team stays healthy. And then we have the perennial loser in Dan Sterling. He sucks real bad all the time. So look, his team is fine. Does he have a lot of players from shit teams? Yes. Do I think he's going to... I think he will finish just under 500. I actually don't think he's going to get relegated. So in terms of its bottom 4 get relegated, I actually think Henderson gets relegated. I think Hillbilly Kalen, which is Scott Newborough, I think he gets relegated. In the top division, I think Omar would be fine. Grugel's definitely okay. Mike, maybe. No, Kalen's not. I don't think Kalen's going to be. Might be me. I might get relegated. To be honest, my team's fine. We have a bunch of guys on the bench, so we have a fairly deep team, so which might help later on in the year. But I think so. If I had to make a guess, look, it's gonna be probably Redskin Magic. I just don't think that his team is good too. Okay, well maybe not. I don't know. In this top division, I think it could go to anybody. Now, if I had to pick someone to win, I do think it's Grugel. I think he won the draft. I think by far his team is probably the best. The next best one would probably be mine, or Matt Daly's. I like Jared's team. So it's pretty even, mainly because you only have a couple starters. So we'll see how it all goes. Injuries are always a big part of fantasy, but I'm very excited to see what's going on. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was just a quick draft recap. We're going to be doing this weekly on Tuesdays, and we will be covering everything in fantasy from free agent pickups. We're going to talk about winners, losers, points, trash talk. We'll have everybody on the show. So thank you for coming out, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.